This show is clean, pretty much.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 639. Hi, I'm Mike Matthews, broadcasting from the last place on earth located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California. Today, Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, John Deere the engineer, plus the return of the feature, the MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA, where we hear some interesting stories regarding the upside-down world of politics today. And what? Pandora's doing something weird.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
We'll find out what that is that has to do with politics. And I'm going to grow a beard.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Like hell, I'm going to grow a beard. I'm going to stay clean shaven. I've been doing that for over 9 months, and it feels so nice not to have a bunch of grunge growing out of my face. Grunge. That's what I call it. Those whiskers, they're turning gray, so I call it quits. Somehow this song is rhyming.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
But not really. Last show, we had an interesting thing where I tried to talk like Zoe Chase from the podcast Planet Money.
Mike's
It was kind of
Daily
hard to do
Podcast.
because she talks like Governor Jesse Ventura. He kind of can't do it. He was more,
Hi, this is Jesse Ventura, and I want to tear your head off, Mike.
that kind of thing. Woo! God, I feel so manly when I talk like that. Also, speaking of manly, we also had on last show Bill O'Reilly. That was amusing. And Lindsay Lohan Graham from South Carolina. Yes. So if you missed that show, make sure to go back. It was yesterday's, and that would be episode 638. So much fun is waiting for you. So here's something I'd like to say right off the top of my head, and that is my friends are freaks. Really. I am just... I can't understand them. I don't know. Is it me? Is it me that I have lost all patience with my friends lately? All the patience I had out the window. These little things that, I don't think of all the nice things they do and all the friendly friend things they do. I think of all the idiotic, why the heck did they do that again type things. I don't know, maybe it's me. Or maybe my friends are freaks. Also, here's maybe a sign that I'm a freak. I'm addicted to the BBC show Doc Martin, which I found on Netflix. Mike, Doc Martin, is that a show about a guy who makes shoes? No. It's about a guy who's a doctor, thus the name Doc Martin. And he lives in this little seaside town somewhere in England. And there's a girl on the show that is unbelievable. She kind of reminds me of a really young Emma Thompson? Or Thomas? Emma Thomas? Emma Thompson. I always get that wrong. But she kind of, because Emma Thompson kind of talks from the bottom of her mouth. And this girl, she has a little bit more of an Irish brogue thing, but the bottom of her teeth are always sticking out. It's just so attractive. It's quite lovely. Big blue eyes. I looked on Wikipedia about this actress. What's her name? Caroline Katz. Thank you, IMDb. Gosh, she has completely vanished. She's done nothing since the show. The show was on roughly from 2001 all the way through 2011. So 10 years, basically. It wasn't on every single year. Some years they would take a break, and they didn't ever, when we do a TV show here in America, it's 22 episodes, man. And it's just show after show after show. They do 7? It's kind of like Downton Abbey. It does 7 episodes. Or you got the Sherlock show, Sherlock, on the BBC. That's what only 3 episodes they did for the current season, of course, but that's very long episodes. Anyway, this show is funny, and if you like British humor, it's funny, and Caroline Katz is beautiful. So I last night, though, am watching the show, and Doc Martin and the Caroline Katz character, they're engaged all of a sudden. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I got to see how this story arc ends. So 3 shows later, you find out what happens. And no spoilers now on the show. but we don't see a wedding. And then I think we have to say hello to this person that just walked in.
Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, the gift shop supervisor, and I'm not a big fan of Doc Martin.
No, I told you to watch it. You don't like it?
No, Mike Matthews, I don't like that guy. He's got, like, really big, weird lips.
Yeah, he's got... So I worked for this guy in Alabama, the general manager at this radio station that I was at, where I was the program director. This guy had huge lips like this guy on the TV show. It's weird because I'm watching Doc Martin. I'm like, did I work for that guy? And I can't think like that for long because I couldn't stand this guy. Perhaps we are both repelled and attracted to the things that we're repelled by.
Yeah, okay, whatever, Mike Matthews. That was confusing.
So much so. Look who else just walked in. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman.
And this is John Deere, the engineer, Mike. I hope you're not talking about us when you're saying that your friends are freaks.
No, not you guys. No, whoever I'm saying, whatever friends I'm saying that are freaks are never the friends that are in the room right in front of me like you guys all are. Great, Mike. What a relief.
Mike, that's a very odd theory that you have.
Don't you like it? It's called the passive-aggressive theory. What do you think?
Yes, I think it is.
Well, I think this is fascinating. Pandora. Right, Pandora? The radio station online that you get to listen to wonderful music that you pick out. What kind of plays the music that you pick out, and then it doesn't, and then, well. Democrat or Republican? According to news10.net, the Pandora Radio, of course, based in Oakland, not too far away from us here in Podcaster Valley, California, plans to launch its new advertising service next week based on a user's perceived political leanings. By applying data science to advertising delivery, Pandora hopes to ensure relevant political advertisements are delivered to its 73 million users, and that advertisers are reaching their intended audience. With the midterm election just around the corner, it's actually a lot closer than just around the corner. Many political campaigns and media agencies are now starting to think about their media buys. And yes, they buy a lot, as you know, so much money dumped into political campaigns. And, well, Pandora's got their hand up saying, me, give us money. They want to make sure that these groups are aware of the offering and will consider it when planning their marketing strategies for the fall. And that also goes to say as well that everybody else that is, media that you can advertise on, they're also going to try and be as particular as possible when it comes to those watching on the internet. How does it all work? Well, the company starts with a zip code, which all listeners supply when they register for the radio streaming service. Then Pandora maps those zip codes to a county and then looks at the distribution of the political party voting in prior elections within those counties based on previous election results reported by news organizations. For instance, if 80% of citizens in a certain county voted for Obama in the last election, then Pandora assumes that they're going to vote Democrat in that particular area. So does that mean if I'm in Alabama, I'm going to get nothing but Republican commercials? And now that I'm here in Northern California in the Bay Area, I'm going to get only Democrat commercials. Probably that's what they're saying. They said it will be able to overlay the information with people's musical tastes and can draw some conclusions, such as users who listen to country music most often are located in heavily Republican zip codes. Also, Pandora listeners who tune into jazz and reggae most frequently tend to correlate with zip codes that lean Democrat. Electronic music means mostly people leaning stupid. Why do you listen to that crap? Oh, no, it means that they're mostly Democrats that listen to that. It says in this article, it is important to note all the above models are a prediction, similar to how Pandora predicts which song to play next when a listener uses the radio streaming service. And as I stated earlier, that doesn't seem to work all the time. Some may call this stereotyping, but based on initial testing, company officials say their ad targeting predictions have been 75 to 80% accurate. These numbers will likely increase in the future as Pandora factors in user feedback. For a world where we're so PC and we're not supposed to stereotype, there's an awful lot of stereotyping going on, and people getting paid nice big bucks for doing so. Well, something else going on in the media is the new trailer for this movie that I've been hearing a lot about, even though I am not really the biggest sci-fi fan in the world, but still, people talking like crazy about Guardians of the Galaxy, and this is from a Marvel comic book, and it looks like they dumped a lot of money into it. It's got like a raccoon in it, CGI raccoon, and it's got Zoe Saldana in it, looking all green. Hey, wasn't her roommate green in the first Star Trek? But she's playing some sort of assassin. Yeah. Well, John C. Reilly is in the trailer. So there seems to be a little bit of a humorous tinge to the trailer. But there's definitely a bunch of money that's been dumped into this movie. We'll see if it turns out to be a big Marvel. Marvel tends to do well with the movies, if you haven't noticed. They seem to rake in the bucks. But we'll see how this one goes. And then finally, Pushing Daisies. Did you ever watch that show? It was on ABC. Very fanciful, very whimsical, very colorful. It involved a guy who could bring people back from the dead by touching them. And then he falls in love with a woman that he brought back from the dead. But if he touches her again, she'll be dead forever. So this is a fantastic show. It's being turned into a musical. That's the big news today. Brian Fuller, the guy who created the show, says that he's been in talks with Warner Brothers and director Barry Sonnenfeld about making the show into a musical. There's a couple of format options, he said to E! News. This according to Variety.com. Possibly doing a musical, possibly doing a movie that would be on Netflix only. Pushing Daisies isn't the only defunct TV series mulling a Broadway continuation. In 2012, Scrubs creator Bill Lawrence talked up an idea he had for a musical. The project remains in development.
Mike Matthews, I love Scrubs.
Why?
Because of Zach Braff. He's like so cute.
Chely, Zach Braff isn't the man for you. He's got a bunch of problems. Have you seen Garden State?
He was on antidepressants, and, yeah, that was like a movie. It wasn't true.
Just be careful, Chely. John Deere, the engineer, and I worry about you, because I'm Floyd the Floorman.
Okay, guys, chill out.
I'm just so upset Pandora's stereotyping. I think we should launch the last place on Earth and go approximately 3.2 miles and land at the Pandora factory. We're launching and landing, crash landing. Where's that Tim Westergren? Tim Westergren, where's Tim? I want to talk to him about stereotyping me. Where's Tim?
I don't know, Mike Matthews, but I'm Caroline Katz of the long-running television show Doc Martin.
Oh my God, I'm such a fan. I am in love with you, and I don't mind screaming that out to the world.
Oh, well, please, don't scream that out to the world, Mike Matthews. You only look like a fool.
Oh, okay. Is that true, Chely? Am I looking like a fool?
Yeah, Mike Matthews, you should leave this Caroline Katz alone. Obviously she doesn't want to be berated by people that are fans like you. Thank you, Chely. That's very perceptive of you.
Anyway, tell Tim to stop stereotyping us, and we're going to get going.
Bye, Mike Matthews. It could have worked.
What? Oh, maybe we shouldn't launch. Oh, we've launched. And we're landing back in Podcastro Valley, California. Crash landing. While we were up in the air flying, the Guardians of the Galaxy boarded the last place on Earth. Oh, really? Oh, hi. Hey, guys. Saw the trailer. Still don't understand what's going on. I guess similar to a lot of people that are listening to the show right now. Oh, wait. Why are you guys all ripping your shirts off? Oh, that's why. I think they're gonna go by on their looks, Chely Shoehart.
Oh my God, Mike Matthews, these guys are so hot.
Yeah, and don't forget, Zoe Saldana. She's looking quite hot as well.
Yes, Mike Matthews, but she's green.
In the movie, she's green, yes. And also, there's Karen Gillan, who was on Doctor Who for a couple of years. She's in this movie as a bald pirate.
Kind of like you, Mike Matthews.
I am not a pirate.
Now say it like Seinfeld.
I don't want to be a pirate.
Oh my God, that's like so funny. And you sounded like Floyd the Floorman.
I did kind of just there. Sorry, Floyd. It's all right. Well, what do you think about this whole Guardians of the Galaxy, Pandora stereotyping, and the Pushing Daisies becoming a musical or a movie? Email me, MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. I read your comments on the section emails from email. Also email me there if you'd like to be a guest on the show or if you'd like to sponsor the show, MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. There is also the website, MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Go there and you can find where you can listen to the show in iTunes. Subscribe to the show in iTunes. You can rate and comment on the show there. There is also a link to where to listen to the show through Facebook. Yes, we have a Facebook page. The link to that is at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. And if you like that part, if you like us on Facebook, when I post a new show, share that with your friends so that more people find out about MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Another great way to support the show is through the Amazon.com link that I have, the Amazon box. Click on that and you can buy something for a discount. Yet it's the Amazon deal of the day is what it is. You can click on that, get a great discount, and it helps the show when you do that at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. There's also links to where to listen to this show on SoundCloud, Spreaker, Stitcher, YouTube. We're also on Yelp and Twitter. All those links and the blog and the daily podcast picture at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com.
The MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA.
This is a fantastic book called The MIKELOPEDIA INSANICA. In it, some fascinating stories, and we're looking through the topics, and we come upon the topic political fascinating stories. And it looks like a lot of these stories come from the fantastic magazine called Time Magazine. And interestingly enough, all of these stories written by people with the first letter of their first names. Isn't that fantastic? That's true of all of the stories except for this first one. Because it's written by Eliza Gray, and this is about smoke. Not on the water, but, well, actually, water is involved with this. This would be e-cigarettes. Right before Christmas of last year, Oklahoma Governor Mary Fallin issued an executive order barring the use of e-cigarettes on state-owned property. Earlier in December, the Los Angeles City Council voted to license e-cig vendors and prohibit e-cig sales in self-service displays. And in one of the strongest moves yet against the increasingly popular tobacco product, the New York City Council extended the city's strict ban on smoking in public places to e-cigs. Chicago is considering a similar measure. Utah, New Jersey, and North Dakota have all passed legislation prohibiting e-cigs wherever regular smoking is banned, and many other states are weighing their own regulations. There are no federal rules on e-cigs, which work by emitting a vaporized nicotine solution and have become a popular alternative for smokers looking to quit. The lawmakers say the vapor looks like smoke and that nicotine and other chemicals in the vapor could be harmful to breathe in secondhand. A study published in the journal Nicotine and Tobacco Research found that e-cigarettes are a source of secondhand exposure to nicotine. But e-cig supporters caution that there is not enough available information about the health effects to draw conclusions. The Food and Drug Administration has been weighing how to handle e-cigs, and they've been promising action for months. In September, 40 state attorneys general urged the FDA to regulate the sale and advertising of e-cigs. Now, a very recent study that was done by the University of California, Riverside, they did a test on the Smoking Everywhere Platinum e-cigarette, and they found, quote, that people using this product are going to be breathing in a lot of tin. We'll have to see what happens next with e-cigarettes.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
We went from Deep Purple to deep in the heart of Texas, and Texas is where some funky stuff is going on per usual. This article written by Alex Altman. Steve Stockman, the Republican congressman from Texas, he gives his donors Obama barf bags with the tagline, "Socialism makes me sick." He says his favorite gun lubricant is Liberal Tears, and he hawks bumper stickers that suggest the solution to abortion is distributing firearms to babies. A two-term backbencher with no legislative accomplishments, he is known mostly for outrageous tweets. So when Stockman announced in December that he would give up his House seat to challenge John Cornyn, the number 2 Republican in the Senate, he seemed like a long shot. Now he's more like a laughingstock. Stockman trailed by more than 40 points in a recent poll and reported just $32,000 on hand compared with Cornyn's $6.9 million. He hasn't campaigned much, but it wasn't because of his day job where he missed 17 consecutive House votes in January. A Texas campaign headquarters was condemned for safety violations. But for a particular breed of protest candidate, campaigns are no longer just a means to an end. A shrewd provocateur can use the platform to win the same notoriety as an elected official, and without the drudgery of cold calls, meet and greets, and committee work. Losing can have its rewards, too. In 2012, Herman Cain's hapless presidential bid boosted his book sales and built an email list from which he continues to profit. Newt Gingrich parlayed his bid into a gig at CNN. And then there's Donald Trump, whose serial flirtations with public office can always be counted on to goose ratings for The Apprentice. Stockman is saddled with $163,000 in prior campaign debt. So, quote, his mysterious run was never intended to be anything more than a debt retirement project, according to a Texas-based Republican consultant. Instead of trolling his enemies this time, he may be targeting his fans. Some of his other interesting tweets have been, the best thing about the Earth is if you poke holes in it, oil and gas come out. And he also said, if Obama had run the Titanic, we're not canceling your boat trip, we're transitioning you to the bottom of the ocean, hashtag Obamacare.
They ought to put warning labels on those sad country songs.
Warning labels. Doug Stone there. Speaking of labels, what about the labels that you have that tell you about calories and all that sort of thing on your whatever food product you buy, the nutrition facts? Well, according to this article by Alexandra Seiferlin, after many rounds of internal debate and hefty criticism from health groups, the FDA recently submitted a list of proposed improvements for approval by the White House for the nutrition facts label, which was introduced in 1990. If you had not known that I forgot that had happened in 1990. I guess I didn't notice that they suddenly appeared, but I do use them quite a bit, and it would appear that there can be some improvement. Now, studies show that there are good and bad fats, but the label lumps all the fats together, and daily values on a label for sodium are based on a 2,400 milligram diet, even though new research says that those figures should be lower. Although the FDA won't say when the changes will take effect, it could be years, or what they will be, many nutrition experts have already chimed in with suggestions. Now that 42% of working-age Americans are reading nutrition facts labels, that's up from 34% in 2008, they could play a key part in combating the obesity epidemic. What are experts saying that should be done to fix the current nutrition facts labels? First off, realistic serving sizes. Foods like soup and chips often list multiple servings even though they're eaten in one sitting. Also, they suggest bolder calories. New research shows that monitoring calorie rather than fat intake is the best way to lose weight. Also, a sugar breakdown. Added sugar should be listed separately from total sugar since it's unnatural. Also, understandable measurements. Because most people don't deal with grams on a daily basis, measurements should be given in teaspoons instead. And the label should be on the front of the package. Experts say that this would ensure that more people see it and determine what's healthier faster.
One more time. This was made.
That is Peter Seeger just a few months ago, and yes, he passed away recently. And Arlo Guthrie recently wrote about Pete Seeger, and he said that Pete loved the idealism of a nation founded on the principles he thought were important, and he spread that idea wherever he went. This is why he refused to answer questions when he was called before the House Un-American Activities Committee in 1950. To be asked about his religion or his political beliefs was such an insult to him because it was insulting to every American. But he had a way of understanding and talking about these personal events so as to make it clear that they affected everyone. If that episode had affected just him, he wouldn't have written about it. But because it affected everyone, he was involved. I think that's one of the things that motivated him about the environment, the war in Vietnam, the civil rights movement. Whatever was going on, he was there because he had a sense of how it had an impact on everyone. Sometimes he was right, sometimes he was wrong, but he was right most of the time, and he set out to make the country what he had imagined that it would be. It was not just personal, it was America. Pete Seeger died January 27th. He was 94 years old, and he had performed that song we heard earlier at the last Farm Aid that he did last year with Neil Young and David Matthews up there on stage with him. Though I've never seen Pete Seeger in concert, I did get to see Arlo Guthrie last year, thanks to Kathy Spaeth of Kathy's Corner. We went and saw him at Berkeley, and he was fantastic. And he also did his own version of This Land Is Your Land, This Land Is My Land. Of course, his father, Woody, wrote that song.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York.
As we go outside of the last place on earth where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, California.
And here's today's podcast picture.
The picture is from San Francisco, looking at Pier 9. I believe I was standing on the pier, I think it's Pier 15 that the Exploratorium is at, and I was looking at Pier 9 and then seeing the Transamerica building, and the city was looking quite nice. The sky was really picturesque. See that picturesque picture at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com.
Mike Matthews, if you say it 2 words back to back like that, does that cause Michael Keaton to suddenly appear?
What do you mean, like Beetlejuice? No, that would be three times.
Picturesque picture, but
Don't do it. And tomorrow we will bring you the return of the feature called Into an Interview. And I'll be speaking with a band from Sweden. They're called KINETICS. And they got some great music. We're going to hear it and talk to them. That is tomorrow, as well as we will hear from Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Mike Matthews, I hope that your friends stop being such freaks! Yeah, we'll see. John Deere, the engineer, what do you suggest I do?
I think what you should do is become friends with Zach Braff.
But I thought you didn't like Zach Braff because he's dependent on antidepressants per his movie about the Garden State.
Yes. I think you should try to get my money back from him because I really did not like that movie.
You didn't like that movie?
No, I didn't like it.
Well, it was wonderful. Yeah. Had like these really calm, serene scenes. Nature. Birds chirping.
Yeah, I hate that stuff.
Me too.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKES-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!
Martin, I don't think that we should be getting married.